Len, Hostetter?
Good way to evade the question.
No, I'm not speaking. Did you hear me?
Come on up front. You represent the town.
The building inspector didn't want to talk.
Not just the sign to speak. You should make yourself a little clearer. Sure you have a lot to say. Cindy.
Did you call me Cindy?
Yep.
All right, great. First question is, if you see this residential area, and we are families mostly that live here, why are you choosing one-bedroom apartments instead of staying consistent with the flavor of this neighborhood, which is families?
That's an excellent question. We've talked to a lot of people who have grown up in the area, left, gone to school, they come back, and as you know, the housing price has gone up. They don't necessarily have a place to live. They're not living with mom and dad anymore. They're young professionals. They want to get a start, but they want to bring what they've learned back to where they grew up. Also, we're limited by the same concerns you brought up regarding water, regarding sewer. And the one-bedroom model makes the most sense in that regard. There's a couple sides to it. One, we see that's where the need is. Two, that's what will fit. That's what works. It's what makes sense.
It's not the need.
Have you considered condos where people, that you can sell, where people are vested in this community?
We have not yet considered condos.
So my other question is, I did a little quick Google search, and I saw about, just counting online, there's about 180 something residences in this neighborhood. When you're talking about 46 more residences, that's a 25% increase. Now, have you read excuse me, I have to find my paperwork here. The 2003 Aquifer Protection Plan that states that at some point there has to be a public water system or something else that happens here, because this is not sustainable. Our water problems are big. They are expensive for every resident that lives here, and it's not going away. Well, but we want a permanent solution, so I'm asking, have you considered it? Has this been considered?
You can't get a water system because it's uphill. And they gotta put 900 pumps in it just to get it up 28.
Right, but 16 years ago, a study came out saying there has to be a permanent solution, and there isn't one that I know of.
So they can't build.
Yeah, the 25% increase is huge. That's a big increase. How is that going to be handled? That's concerning.
We'll have to
You can't
chase
even
down
get natural gas.
the DEP.
We can't even get files.
Or fires, for that matter. Gee!
I'll share with you one more story while I'm up here. I hate speaking in public, but I'll go for it. 2 years ago, my neighbor passed away in a fire. That fire was right next door to my house. For 3 weeks, I could not drink my water. It was toxic. It smelled awful. There was nothing we could do but $2,000 worth of remediation for filters, for UV systems, for a well shocking. $2,000 for a family of four, like out of pocket, just so we could drink and bathe in our water. This is a major problem in this area.
Yeah, there's an eye opener.
I have your questions. I can submit them also, Cindy, so.
Thank you.
I'm going to be here this evening, so I'll send these to you guys.
Are there answers?
You have answers from that side of the room?
Well, regarding the water, as we said, we're doing studies, and you're giving us a lot to chew on. Your concerns are being heard, and we're taking it into account. It's good to hear what you have concerns about.
These are facts, not concerns.
Okay, Linda McKnight.
Okay, so does anybody find it a little ironic that water is an issue for us, and yet we are the water supply for New York City?
Yeah, is that something?
So I have a story to tell you folks. A little over 100 years ago, New York City needed water. And they built a lovely reservoir that many see as a wonderful recreational and natural gem of the area. The backstory behind that is the people were told that their land was going to be taken. They were going to be given 10 cents on the dollar, and then they needed to get out. That money was not even enough for them to buy another piece of property. A congregation that wanted to move their church from the lowland to the higher ground was sued by New York City because they took their building. So I just think it really comes down to how we treat people. You know, the city needed a water supply. I don't dispute that. But at the end of the day, the city and the local government could have insisted that the city put a planner on the project to actually move the community of West Hurley. Now, you may not think that the community of West Hurley was much. It was 1,000 people. There was an opera house. There were tradespeople. No, it was a really big deal, and it was wrong. And so what you see of West Hurley is literally a mere shadow of its former self. And it's not gotten any kind of justice in any fashion whatsoever. We are cut off completely from the town of Hurley that we are technically a part of. You can't get to Old Hurley from West Hurley unless you go into another township. It can't be done. So there's that. Our representation in West Hurley is with the county legislator who also represents Woodstock. So we are a community kind of without a community, right? I mean, our post office is on closure list. Town hall is in Old Hurley. We have a firehouse. We have a small library. And we had a vibrant school that the school district decided to close. Okay, fine. The community members have been very vocal with the school board for years, asking, pleading for a community center. And the school board didn't want to hear it. We own those buildings. The taxpayers own those buildings. And I think we deserve better than this. I mean, no disrespect, but, you know, I mean, water is a big issue. We're familiar with the flooding. We're familiar with the water supply issues.
People don't have a clue.
It just doesn't seem like we're a good fit for you.
Very good.
Bobby Monte?
Hey, Mayor. Okay, so, number one, I think we gotta thank these guys for showing up and confronting all of us. And that's the West Hurley people that I know and love, right? The classy ones, right? That's who we are. So, no disrespect at all, but I think you heard people talk from their heart. And again, it's fact. It's our reality. We have water problems. We have flood problems. We have wells that go dry. So I hope when you guys go home tonight, just think about what you heard. Say, wow, those folks in West Hurley really helped us because we're about to make a huge mistake. So I think that's how you have to take this. You have to take this as people who care about their community, love their community, are speaking about their reality, and you guys have to digest that. I heard one very positive thing tonight, and it came from you when you said, I think it was in Brooklyn, where the community wanted to change the plan. And you built a community center, an art center for artists and music and stuff of that nature. Well, maybe you got to think about that. Maybe you got to rethink 46 one-bedroom apartments isn't going to fly in this community. There are just too many problems. Maybe you want to reapproach us with a different plan, working with the town, working with us, and doing something that makes sense for us. We don't believe this makes sense. We hope we convinced you tonight that this doesn't make sense, and we hope you take it in a positive light that we're saving you a lot of grief and a lot of money by allowing you to get out early.
Right.
Ellenville needs housing.
I got a bridge to sell you.
Jen, you?
Yeah, hi, Mr. Danenberg. Is this Ulster County your primary residence?
No,
No. So you don't vote here?
no, I do not.
Right. So that's pretty important. And, with all due respect, or maybe no respect, actually, I spent 10 years in landlord-tenant court in New York City. And for you to undermine people calling in violations that are real, and you're saying that it was for no reason, is ridiculous. I know landlords like you, because I had a slumlord, okay? I know what it's all about.
Easy.
And it's real. People with mold issues, and plumbing issues, and safety issues, and electric issues. And you have a lot of violations, sir. You want to build the building up here, which clearly is not going to work. It's not going to work because I don't want to see anybody in this room with a dry well. Because I'm sure you've never had a dry well. It ain't fun, okay? You have no water. And it just happens real quick. And you wait a long time to get water again. So, I am of the school of making this a public space. I'll say it right now. That you're going to create too much of an environmental problem trying to put housing in here, and you have not answered the question of what market rate is. Like, really, be honest with us. You know what it is. You're here to make money, and that's your bottom line. You are not here to help our community, okay? Housing is an issue, but you're not here to help us. So to help us, either move along or build something here that's community-based, like a community center with a community garden and a community place to go for the people in this room. And all the people, I couldn't make it tonight because this was not publicized enough to get more people here. And I assure you, there will be plenty more people here when you try to start your plans that aren't going to work. Thank you.
Nash, Burke?
Nash Burke, I'm at 93 Cedar Street, the entrance to your property. Now, I was at one of the town board meetings and we spoke about the traffic through the neighborhood. And I said, why can't they exit on Van Dale? And I was told that the DOT won't allow it. So has there or has there not been a traffic study, initial, maybe preliminary traffic study done? Because if the DOT has already said that you can't exit onto Van Dale,
Somebody was inquiring.
why were you told that if there was no traffic study done yet? Because I don't feel.
So that was related to me. When we had our planning board meeting with the county, the talk of going out on Van Dale would incorporate a traffic light on 28, and the visibility to turn left on 28 did not exist. So that's why Van Dale was of concern to not.
If you have a traffic light, you don't need visibility because people are going to have red lights.
Well, the visibility on Wall Street making a left.
I'm not disagreeing.
What you guys should all do is
Motion
come up on
place,
Friday
Cedar
morning between 4 o'clock and 7 o'clock and try and get out of this neighborhood either on the 375 or on the 28.
You have rows of
You can't
trees
turn
on
on the 28 because all the
375.
traffic coming up. Everyone says, oh, there's a light at 375. Yeah, well, there's a green arrow there. So the traffic coming up 28 just flows on to 375. And like Bob Bloomer said, people get hit all the time. There's accidents. And
There was just a
now
car
you're gonna,
accident last week.
like,
That's right.
I know you're in business to make money. So the fact that you say you don't know what you're going to charge, I don't believe you. Because you would not be investing this money if you didn't know what your
I
return
don't
was going to
believe
be.
the DOT
Or at least
either.
have an idea. I just don't believe it. I think you're trying to put apartments in there for more city people to have someplace to stay. It's not for us.
What's going to be the lease term for those over there? Are they going to be year leases or month to month?
We're only interested in doing year leases, long term.
The leases can be broken too.
So, was there any other information from Van Dale in reference to the request from DOT to potentially put a traffic light or anything? Mike, did you see any other information come back? No. That was the question I think that was raised.
The meeting you're referring to was with the Ulster County Planning Board? Dennis Doyle, okay.
That was the last I heard about it.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything more from Dennis either. And we haven't done an official traffic study. We haven't hired a traffic consultant yet. You know, we focused on what we felt were the primary issues and whether, you know, the project was even feasible. And, you know, it's a step-by-step process to hire these other guys to go through these details. So we haven't hired a traffic study yet, and the only information we have is from the Ulster County Planning Board and Dennis Doyle.
Who's speaking on behalf of the state?
Well, he's the head of the
Ulster County Planning.
Ulster County Traffic.
Planning. Ulster County Planning Department.
He, let's just say, is in contact quite a bit with New York State DOT, and we relied on him. Does that answer what you were?
Yes, and not really.
Did he provide you with any?
I have no knowledge of DOT saying anything.
And I understand that.
Okay, so, you know, I can't answer your question if I haven't spoken to DOT.
I understand that.
Okay. Cool.
But what Mr. Perry said, that there's no line of sight. If there's a red light, you don't need a line of sight to turn. They have red lights.
But the
And you have a
DOT
green
has to,
light.
they're the ones that have to do it. I know, for example.
So then they should petition the
No, I
DOT
know.
to put the light in before anything gets approved.
I remember when
Which is needed,
a
anyway.
light by Hobo Deli.
There's more accidents there.
Said they lowered speed limit. You know, it's kind of like a slow down traffic.
The throughway signs.
Well, that's something
DOT
else.
has to set.
I'm waiting for one of them to pull over.
Oh, I know that. It's a state road. I know that. Thank you.
You got him put up.
Is he? If I ever see him.
Oh, I'm sure you enjoyed it.
I thoroughly enjoyed listening to all the pros and cons, mainly cons. It is your community, and I'm happy to see everybody out here. However the chips may fall, I hope everybody ends up happy, but I know nobody will.
You talking about buffalo chips?
I'd be happy when you're out of office.
Yeah, really? Thank you for
New York City.
Couldn't say better myself. Quiet.
I don't have a question, no.
I also would like to thank everybody that came out tonight. It was encouraging to see so many people are concerned, which is very nice, because so many times we have town board meetings and nobody shows up. So I appreciate you all coming up. I appreciate the developers. And I just want to say that, you know, this is very premature. We have a process we have to go through. There's going to be a lot more public hearings. I encourage you to continue with your concerns and keep us abreast of it. Thank you.
Actually, just one quick question. Did you guys buy the house on the corner of Vandale and 28? Or anyone associated with you?
Yeah, I have a question to ask you, and that is the use of eminent domain. Right now, we're seeing a lot of developers using that argument, eminent domain, which has passed in the Supreme Court 5-4 in favor of developers. Is that something that you might be considering also in schools?
I can answer that. Absolutely not. We don't have the power.
Yeah, I know you don't have the power of it, though, but you can request it of the state.
That's not what we're. Okay.
Sure, really.
I have no questions. Just thanks everybody for coming out and all the good questions, and thank you guys for coming up to answer them.
Yeah, he's been real quiet.
I would like to open my email to anybody that has any questions that weren't answered tonight, that feels like they weren't answered to their satisfaction, or anybody that was not comfortable speaking in public. supervisor@townofhurley.org. I will forward to the developers. I'm sure they'd be more than willing to try to answer any questions we have. As more things occur, potentially we can do maybe another meeting. I know that we're a long ways out, but my main focus here is to try to make sure everybody in this room has a voice. And hopefully we accomplish that starting tonight.
John?
All right. When you guys said you didn't do the traffic study yet, right? Okay. So take into consideration that you have a firehouse right here, right in front of where you guys want to build your apartments. So the traffic coming out. I mean, I'm part of the fire company. I've driven the fire trucks. It's hard to get out on Wall Street when you have buses, you have cars, you have people coming towards you, and it's a tiny road. Just take that into consideration when you guys do the traffic study.
And your tenants are going to hear loud sirens every time there's a fire.
Okay, I'll take two more questions. Go ahead, John.
And it echoes off brick real well.
If anything has to be done to change the roads, if anything has to be done to improve the roads, if anything has to be done to maintain these roads and figure these roads out. You can't hear me? No. Really? No.
Take the floor.
Hi. Okay, if anybody, if there are any problems with the roads, okay, you have to widen the roads, you have to change the roads, you have to put in a light. I mean, just hypothetically, anything. If you have to maintain the roads, if you have to repave the roads, regrade the roads, who's going to pay for that? We pay for that, right? Who's going to foot the bill for that?
We do. We do. It's a highway department.
Okay.
We have to widen the roads.
If we have to do anything to the roads to accommodate this project, you're not widening the roads.
Anything needs to be accommodated for the developers will do it.
So they will pay for the roads.
Stormwater, sidewalks, anything that needs to be done, I'm not putting time into this.
Good.
Okay.
Take into consideration.
So we don't have to pay for this, okay? Check.
I won't, I can tell you that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
John?
we're all gonna pay.
You don't need this.
I don't need that. Thank you. In your meeting you had with us before, which I thought was great. Like we said, here in West Hurley, it's like we're not part of Woodstock, we're not part of Hurley. So I'm gonna ask the board if they would make a decision that, because this really doesn't affect down in Old Hurley, the town of Hurley. I'm going to request that the town board, if they could secure the firehouse for any and all future meetings, this firehouse, pertaining to this project, which is our backyard.
You're here.
Because there is a lot of people, older people, and I mean no disrespect. Even I hate driving at night because of the glare. And if you're this close to home, it's no big deal. One of us can grab them, and get them here.
That's a viable request, and I will try to.
The planning board, any meeting, let me be specific, whether it be town, planning, zoning,
This is West Hurley.
maybe you could even request from the county. Any meeting pertaining to this project, that we secure this firehouse, which I'll bring up at the next commissioners meeting just in case, that all meetings take place here.
Reasonable request.
Everybody leave their email address at the door so we can get everyone.
As far as the meeting, I did have to wait till April 8th in order to get the okay from the fire department, because everything takes time. I know everybody wanted to have the meeting as quickly as possible to speak on behalf, so I did the best that I could. There's multiple things that had to be, I had everybody here, the developers, the hall, so it didn't happen enough time to accommodate everybody's wishes for, putting in a paper, on the websites, whatever. I apologize ahead of time, but there's multiple things that had to happen in order for this meeting to take place.
And could everybody that came to the meeting tonight, if you don't have an email, at least leave a phone number or even an address on the paper in the back. This way here, we can do a phone chain and call everybody in the community, so we can get to the bottom of what's going to happen here, just like we did with our fire department.
Correct.
Yep.
I'll leave it up here.
Very good.
Thank you.
Great
Thank
suggestion.
you, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Calendar, so it's not going on. Don't laugh. I don't think it's funny.
I know where you're going.
You know where I'm going. I'm sorry. That it's not during a holiday of anyone's release or during a school break, which some of these people cannot a way.
I will not be able to accommodate everybody, but I'll do my best.
Well, no, we should be able to.
I apologize.
I'm trying to apologize.